is a way to help it if, to kind of get rid of anything that might be sort of clogging up or acting as an obstruction to the flow of the inner energy, the Kundalini energy, the mothering energy that we've been talking about. So most of us like to foot soak, who have been practicing for a while, like to foot soak pretty much every day. Maybe with some exceptions. Or if you have an ocean right nearby, that's great too, but most of us don't have that. I personally like to foot soak pretty much as soon as I get home from work. Many people, I would say probably more people like to foot soak right before bed. And then, as a way to really end the day nicely and just relax. I have found that when I do foot soak later, I become so drowsy sometimes, like I just so ready for sleep. So, but you can foot soak anytime. Right now, it's at 10 o'clock in the morning here in Boston, and I'm going to foot soak, and I'm fine with that. So you can use it whenever you feel like you need that. And it's especially effective for the lower chakras, also the lower centers, the center number 1, 2, and 3. So, so if you have not yet prepared your foot soak bowl, if you are prepared to foot soak today, if for some reason you don't have the equipment today because it's your first time or whatever, there's no worries about that. You can just follow the meditation and say, for example, put your attention on the earth or on using the air and some of the other techniques that we'll be using. So any questions from anybody so far about either about foot soaking or about anything else that you've encountered so far in the meditation? Please, if you do have questions, please feel free to share them.
One feedback, your sound is coming from far. Is it possible for you to have a headphone?
Let me get a microphone.
Yeah.
This will just take me a minute to set up. One moment. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Is that better now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have to remember that. I need this microphone. Okay, so welcome to Mita and Cornelia who are just joining. We were just talking about the foot soak technique. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute and share your questions about if it's about foot soaking or about anything that you've experienced so far or anything that you've learned in some of the earlier sessions. I can tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Kristine, for those of you just joining. I'm in the Boston area, and I've been practicing Sahaja Yoga since the 1980s, dating myself a little bit. I could say on and off to, I've been practicing since then, sometimes more intensively than others. Recently, I've become very, just enjoying very much, actually, with the pandemic and everything else, the fact that we've moved to the Zoom format. Have not enjoyed the pandemic, of course, but with the Zoom format that we're using now, it's just such a lovely experience to meet people from so many different parts of the country, so many different parts of the world, and that we can all get together and meditate together. So I've been trying to participate in that as much as I've been able to. And it's been a very, very strong experience for me. And it's amazing in a way. We talk about when we this Sahaja Yoga method, that we have our own private practice, our individual practice of meditation, daily meditation, preferably, and we have a collective side, a community side to our meditation, where when we meditate together in a group, we help each other a lot. We get a lot of benefit by sort of combining our energy and going into that meditative state together. And so it's been a revelation to me just how strongly we can still be together and on this subtle level, even though we're not physically together. We're just together in our attention. We're together in our intent and in our meditation, and what a strong experience that can be. So for me, that's been, really a beautiful side to this, the fact that we've moved in this direction, and we can reach each other much more easily from by using these technology, I guess you could say, by using the ether element. You could say we talk about the 5 elements, and one of the elements is the ether. And the ether element is like the subtle of the air. You could say it's, the medium through which the radio waves travel, or the medium through which ideas travel, or the internet. So that's the ether, is like the subtle side. We're using the ether when we connect with each other in this way. So, and we get all the same benefits, almost all the same benefits that we would get if we were physically with each other. So today we're going to be focusing on the Nabhi chakra, which is the 3rd chakra, the solar plexus. And yes, so this is a nice diagram where we can see that Nabhi chakra is the green center. Number 3. And surrounding the Nabhi is an area which is called the void. So the void is not really a chakra. It's more of an area. It is sometimes referred to as the Bhavasagara, which is the ocean of illusion. And there is a little bit of a gap there between the 2nd chakra and the top of the void in the channel that the Kundalini travels. So how do we cross that gap? And the crossing of that gap is achieved by filling the void with this positive energy, and that creates a bridge. And the Nabhi center also, right, which is right in the center, relates to this because it's considered the center of our seeking. So if you go back to early stages of animal life, you could say the seeking that brought the fishes out of the water and on to become land animals, or that promoted their evolution, was the seeking for, normally you could say, for food or for anything that will sustain their life. So that is the power of a desire power that manifests on all these different levels, seeking for food, and then seeking for shelter, and then seeking for protection of some kind, as seeking for you could say your tribe or something, protection by being in a tribe, and eventually seeking, when we become way more evolved, you could say, maybe, or maybe more confused, we're seeking for money, we're seeking for power. So this seeking for more subtle and subtle on more subtle and subtle levels eventually leads us to our spiritual seeking. Because when everything else has been achieved, we have sustenance, we have the material sustenance, we have everything we need to sustain our life, and we've become satisfied or dissatisfied with the other more temporary, transient things that we might be seeking. Then we turn our attention to seeking something higher, which is the spirit. So this center of the Nabhi and this void area represents that seeking. It also has other qualities. You can see the quality of peace is mentioned in the diagram. The Nabhi chakra, when it is settled, when it is in balance, it gives us a sense of groundedness and contentment and peace. If there's, say, for example, something in our home life which is out of balance or out of sorts, let's say there's some disagreement in your family or something like that, most of us can feel that. We can feel that almost physically in that center, that it may, for example, this is just an example, but one's digestion might go off, or you feel like, you're upset, so you can't have your food or something like that. So that disturbance on that level, we could say, and sort of say it on your, like in your environment, your material environment, can lead to problems on that center. But fortunately, with the meditation, we can balance this center so that the peace that you're experiencing is not so dependent on your circumstances. We can manage stress and manage disturbances much more easily without being thrown off balance, without having sort of an exacerbation of the feeling of disturbance. It also pertains to our material well-being. Okay, so I already mentioned, of course, the need for food, shelter, our household life. If our household life is established and is settled, it's going to help the center. It's going to be a positive influence for this center, and vice versa. If we strengthen this center, we strengthen the Nabhi center, things tend to work out on a material level. It's kind of a mystery, but things tend to just, or it could be that, we don't spend so much time worrying. Like, say, worries about money is a very common, we all have little worries about money, and that's a very common thing that can cause upset to this center. But if we let our worries go, right? So worry does not really achieve anything. If we can let that go, and through meditation, then that will benefit the center as well. So it pertains to our sense of satisfaction and contentment, our peace, our groundedness, our ability to let go of worries. It also pertains to our sort of ability to keep a steady pace in our life and not have, maybe many people might feel very rushed or very like there's always an urgency or there's always a crisis. That can be caused by problems on the center. It can cause problems on this center. Through meditation, we can let go of that feeling of crisis and urgency, which usually is we're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet or isn't likely to happen. So we let go of all of that. And then on this higher level is the seeking, this foundation of our seeking. And actually, it's amazing that all of the different preceptors of different religions have all given the same advice in their philosophies, which is the best way to achieve the spiritual evolution that you're looking for is to, in your life, keep to a balanced life, not going too far to any extreme on either side. In Sahaj, we talk about going to extremes either to the left or to the right. The left side is our emotions, the right side is our action and our futuristic thinking, left side is the past. If we go to one extreme or the other, then it's much more difficult for us to pursue and achieve our spiritual evolution. So all of the precepts of these different personalities, whether it was Socrates, whether it was Confucius, whether it was Guru Nanak or whomever, in the different traditions, gave this advice to keep to the middle way, as they say in Buddhism, to keep to a balanced life and a balanced behavior. And what that achieves is it keeps our subtle center in good shape, in healthy shape, so that when we have the opportunity to, for example, in Saja Yoga, to awaken this inner energy, then our subtle system is prepared and it's in good working order so that we can experience that much more quickly, much more deeply. So I think we can start the Footsoak now. Everyone hopefully has their bucket prepared for that. And so let's just take a moment to settle down, because we're going to meditate while we do this technique. So the first step, everyone's style is a little bit different, I've noticed with foot soaking, but for me, the first step is to get the vibrations flowing. And the best way to do that is by using our gestures of raising the Kundalini. So why don't we go ahead and do that together? We do that 3 times. And on the 3rd time, we can tie 3 knots, symbolic knots above our head. And then we do the bandhan, the protection around ourselves to help prepare a silent space within which we want to meditate. So now that the vibrations are flowing, we can leave our left hand open and take our right hand, and we're going to give vibrations to the water, to the Footsoak bowl, by using a circular motion with our hands, sort of like this, but we're aiming that towards the water. And while we do this, we can just silently ask that may this water and salt, may this Footsoak, these elements become charged with the vibrations which we have felt flowing in our hands, most of us, so that it's effective for cleansing us on the subtle system. So we're giving vibrations to the water and the salt to activate it to be more effective for cleansing our subtle system. And then we can go ahead and put our feet into the bowl, the Footsoak bowl. And let's open our hands on our lap. We can close our eyes. And what we're doing is we're bringing our attention, we're settling our attention. And we can start by bringing our attention onto the central channel. So we're bringing our attention in a relaxed way, not in an overly focused way, but in a relaxed way. We're just allowing our attention to rest on the central channel. And once it's on the central channel, we allow our attention to rise. And we can use this gesture if we want to. This is a simplified gesture of raising the Kundalini. Which is one hand would trace this path of Kundalini and bring it. And with our hand, we bring our attention up to the 7th chakra. So we've said that this is a cleansing process. And what are we trying to cleanse? Anything on the subtle level that may accumulate on our centers or in our left or right side channel due to the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the left and right channel. All of us live in this world. We're active in this world. And along the way, we may accumulate some obstacles, some obstructions. Just like physically, we may, accumulate from our activities, from our actions and behavior. We may accumulate physical dirt on our hands, or we need to brush our teeth or anything like that. So on the subtle level, we want to release anything that we've accumulated. One way we can do that is by using a right hand that we've already traced the path, the central path of Kundalini. Now we're going to trace the path of the right side. So the right side starts on the left side of the head, and we're going to cross in front of our eyes and push down the right side. So again, what we're doing is reducing the influence of the right side channel. And we're sweeping any obstructions or impurities, any interference on the right side off and into our Footsoak. We can do this about 3 or 4 more times. This is a way we express our desire to remove anything that might be interfering with the flow of the Kundalini, the flow of the inner energy. And now that we've done the right side, we're going to do the same with the left side. We're going to start on the right side of the head. You can still use your right hand. And you can also start a little bit in back of your head, because it's also part of the left side channel. And you're going to bring your hand across your front of your face and push down the left side. So we're reducing the influence and we're cleansing and sweeping out any interference or accumulation, any residue from our left side sympathetic activity. We can do that roughly 7 times or so until we're feeling like we're lighter. We should feel lighter with this movement. And hopefully we'll feel a stronger flow, Kundalini energy. Again, I like to go back to this movement. Again, once I brought down the left and the right side channels, I like to bring up the central channel again. And in general, we can let our attention rest gently in a relaxed way at the top of our head or just above the top of our head. Without any effort. Shouldn't feel like a concentration. We shouldn't feel like we're narrowing our focus. Rather, we're allowing our awareness to enjoy this space above our thoughts. If we're having thoughts, which is not unusual, we just let them pass without getting involved. And now, because the theme of the day is the void and the Nabhi chakra, let's take our right hand and put it in the middle of our body, right across our solar plexus. And inwardly, we can ask our Kundalini energy, our mothering energy, for this sensation of deep peace, peacefulness, satisfaction, and contentment. The contentment that comes from the spiritual level, the contentment that is not dependent on any outside circumstance, but is just a given. That peacefulness exists within us. So we ask for that may we have the deep peace of the spirit, And check and make sure that we're relaxed physically. We're not putting in any undue effort of any kind. If we're putting in effort, it means we're trying to do it ourselves. What we want to do is let the Kundalini energy do this for us. We can also use the circular Vandan in a clockwise movement around the center. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm using my hand. So as if I were the clock, moving towards my left shoulder and just describing a circle around this chakra, because the chakras move in a circular way. So we're going with the movement of this chakra. We're giving a little assistance. Maybe we have something that we'd like to remove, and we can use that movement also to remove anything that might be interfering with the function of this chakra. By just pulling it out, you can toss it into the Footsoak bowl, or you can offer it to the earth. Until you feel like the center has been nourished. Has been improved. And then we can open our hands on our lap again, once more allowing our attention to rise with the Kundalini. And go into the thoughtless state of meditation. So we can end our Footsoak meditation now. We can gently, slowly open your eyes. And we're going to rinse our feet of the Footsoak. We're going to take about a 3 to 5 minute break so that we can dispose of the water. Or you can put it aside. Some people just put it aside a little bit away from them, but I think we'll have a few moments where we can actually dispose of the water. We'll rinse our feet into the bowl of the salted water. So I'm going to do that now. And when we come back, we're going to listen to a short excerpt of a lecture by Shrimataji, where she talks a bit about the seeking. And we can go into, it goes into a little bit more detail about that. And we can have the video of Shrimataji now.
I bow to all the seekers of truth. When we are seeking the truth, we have to know, we have to be honest about it. Because it is benevolent for us, not for others. We are seeking the truth for ourselves, not for others. Another thing we have to remember, very humbly, that truth is what it is. We cannot change it, we cannot organize it, we cannot maneuver it. It is what has been and will be. And what is the truth? The truth is that you are the spirit. You are not this body. You are not this mind. You are not this ego. And you are not this conditioning. You are the spirit. But so far, you have been a human being. But to be a human being itself is a very great thing. It's the greatest thing to be a human being. Perhaps we have not realized the value of our life because we do not know what we are. The way we waste our time, waste our energies, waste our attention on things which are senseless, because we still have to understand the greatness of our being. Human beings are made with such care, so beautifully, such delicate working of the divine, from amoeba to this stage, passing through various stages. Such a beautiful thing has been created as a human being. But first we must have this attention to ourselves that there must be something. It cannot be a purposeless doing. It cannot be something just a chance. It's a wrong idea to play with. If the gravitational force of the earth or any one of the galaxies changes, there will be disaster, absolute disaster. So many things in the cosmos if you study. The coefficients that works out the different balancing and the different weights and the movements of the different bodies show us that there must be some purpose. And they do not trouble us. It's all as if made for the stage for human beings, that the human beings have to come on the stage and all the preparation is made for the great drama. I think it's high time that great scientists should look at it and start wondering why is it the way it is made, why we are so much looked after. The whole cosmos seems to be within ourselves, as if we have buttons which move the cosmos, which control the cosmos. Everything is going on so smoothly otherwise, except when we do not try to understand ourselves. It has been said practically in all the scriptures that you have to seek yourself. You have to find yourself. Though I think many of the scriptures have been a little bit changed and have been used for certain purposes, still they could not get over this point that you have to become the self. You have to be born again. But that is not an artificial thing. We are human beings, not artificially made. We are made really by some sort of a living force from amoeba. We are not just made with some sort of a thinking or a mental projection. It is not a mental projection by which we have been human beings. It is something spontaneously happening, a living force within us which has brought us to this stage with a purpose, with a meaning. And now, at this stage, we are free to do what we like. Many people ask me, what was the need to give this freedom to human beings? It was very necessary. If you have to have the ultimate freedom, you must know how to deal with it. You have to understand. Of course, human beings have to make mistakes. To err is human. And we have to understand that this trial and error business has made us understand. Also, those who have not understood must understand that there must be a wiser, a surer way to achieve that goal of self-realization, of self-knowledge. Self-knowledge we do not have, we must admit very humbly. We have had no system by which we could know ourselves. But think of a computer that is a human being is. As soon as you see me, you know I am there. You don't have to go for programming. You don't have to consult anything. You don't have to use any kind of computer or some sort of a complicated machinery. Automatically, spontaneously, in a split of a second, you know that I'm standing before you and talking to you. Such a computer we cannot create. But the divine has created such a great computer, and that is the human being. And this human being is the only one who is going to achieve that higher state which we call as the spiritual state of the self. Because in the science, they deal with the tree, I should say the outside, but they cannot go into the roots. To go into the roots, you have to become a subtler being. Unless and until you become a subtler being, you cannot go into your roots to find out what are your roots are. And that is what is self-realization. When you become subtler, then only you can go into your being and can find out what actually you are. Also, to look after a tree which has not known its roots is a very difficult thing. What happens is that when you do not know your roots and you start growing and growing and growing, you go very deep down into that where you find that you have lost your way. Actually, you are not going deeper. You are spreading outside more and more. And then once you start going to extremes because of your freedom, you lose your way. That's how today everybody is saying a shock is going to come. We are all going to face a shock. This is going to happen, that is going to happen. But actually it is absolutely in your hands because the whole of the cosmos is within you. The cosmos is working under your control, complete. It is absolutely looking after you. Every element is looking after you to preserve you, to guide you, to take you to the right thinking. But in your freedom, you have to achieve that.
So let's now take a couple of moments to just absorb and understand this information, these ideas that Shri Mataji has given us. but without reacting, just allowing our minds to go silent. We can rest our attention at the top of our heads. And we can actually bring our hand, our right hand, above our heads. This helps us bring our attention there and also gives us a chance to feel for the flow of energy above our heads. It's the form of a cool or a warm breeze above our heads. And then let's do the same thing, but with our left hand. Then we can bring our hands back down. And let's finish our meditation today by the gesture of raising the Kundalini. So that we can stay in the meditative space throughout our day, and then put the protection around ourselves, the bandhan, again to preserve our meditative state throughout the day. I'd like to thank everybody for joining our session today. I'd like to, of course, thank Shri Mataji for making all of this possible and giving us the opportunity to experience this state of spiritual meditation, the state of the spirit. I hope you'll share your contact information if you have not already. And if anyone has any questions, I have another 5 or 10 minutes. I'd be happy to speak with anyone. Or maybe we're all just too thoughtless and we have no questions left. That's understandable as well.
Hey, Christine. No questions. Just I want to thank you for the session. It was I'm feeling very relaxing after the session. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining. It takes really all of us, right? And we come together and meditate together and we all get the benefit. So I'm on the receiving end as well.
Yeah, thank you for taking me through my first foot soak. I felt a difference doing that foot soak. I felt like I let go of a few things that I needed to. So I am going to revisit that. So again, thank you.
Great. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Of course, it's a process, you know. We can't dump everything at once, but if we've made some progress each time we make progress, the consistency, and then that's how we keep moving forward.
No, absolutely. I've been working on trying to let go of something. And actually during that foot soak, I think just about got there. So
That's
the
great.
water must have made a difference.
That's great. I mean, you have to celebrate every victory like that. It's really significant. You know, if you're able to let go of something that you couldn't let go of before. I know from personal experience, like I have to really celebrate that.
Absolutely.
And we have some practical tips of the week. This is lovely. Well, I'm not really sure what to do with this. It's a lot of, I know that the one that's mentioned is the bandhan, and anyone who's still here, that there's a lot of different forms of the bandhan. We talk about the bandhan protecting. Today, we also use a bandhan onto the water in the circular movement. We also used a bandhan today. I'm going to do my heart because it's easier for you to see. This is another form of a bandhan. So you're describing this circular movement of the chakra, which helps the chakra to function and helps to cleanse the chakra. So bandhans can be used in so many different ways. It's a way of focusing your attention on something, but not just your attention, but your spiritual energy onto something that we felt flowing in our hands. So you can even, I'll just mention one other technique is that, say you have something that's bothering you and you can put it into words. You know, my situation at work or something like that. Or it could be an individual that you want to focus the spiritual energy on. You can just write that on your hand as a way of, communicating it or identifying it. And then you can use a bandhan even on that. And it's surprising how quickly this can actually work. But in any case, it's also a very good way. As we know, things work out. Sometimes things work out quickly. Sometimes they take a little more time. But in any case, it's a way for you to offer it to the universe and another way of letting go. So I have concern for someone. I'm worried about my mother. I just can't stop thinking about her. Is that really helping? And I give her a bandhan. I give her the spiral movement, the circular movement. feel some vibrations. And then I can be untroubled. But still, I'm using my concern. So that's another form of abandon that you can experiment with. Sometimes we say, thus and such is happening, one person who practices Sahaja Yoga may say to another one, let's give it a bandhan. And so together, they'll work on something on this subtle level, focus the spiritual energy on the problem or the issue. And it can be really very effective, and it also can be very comforting as well. So I am going to bid you all farewell. And thank you again all very much for joining today and making this for me a wonderful experience. And hope to see you again. And
Thank you very
Rahul.
much. Thank you very much.
Rahul.
It was
For your
wonderful.
work. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for letting us be here. And thank you for your work behind the scenes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice week ahead. See you.
You too.